Yeah, no, oh my, oh no, This is the sound of disgruntled, uncomfortable discomfort in the morning when you're in a unique situation in another aspect of life. When you're transported firsthand to be able to see a different area in the world firsthand and be able to contribute to that life in essence by also investing and also participating in a volunteerism action, an activity that revolves around building up a different part of the world that is interesting that you don't typically get to see, just like a TV channel from a different country that you might have never seen, just like actually going and visiting that TV channel firsthand after you've visualized it for the first time in a different country, and then at the same time you're participating in an investment that in essence corresponds to building up a community in a different place, in a different part of the world that you never thought you'd see necessarily, and this corresponds to disgruntled, disconfigured lifestyle living for a temporary time, and it's also called volunteerism investing, whoa, volunteerism investing, whoa, volunteerism investing, whoa. So the initial sound to start the podcast is like the sound of being a little bit disgruntled while you're waking up in the morning because you're in a different, unfamiliar space and place, but it is something along the lines of ultimately getting a little bit more configured and a little bit more comfortable with the nature of society, from growing up as a child, from becoming a child again, from being a person who was once a child, and that person, after all, in a certain time in life, typically was pretty happy playing in dirt, playing inside of the dirt that is underneath our feet. That was typically a childhood activity that is necessary to be able to revisit that activity, to be able to give more value to it and to childhood, and also to be able to give more value to volunteerism, which has to do with volunteering voluntarily by also going on trips and traveling, typically to be able to try to add value to different parts of the world, and then typically volunteering during that tourism and adding value, just like playing games for change, by also doing things that contribute to different parts of the world, but also you get a return on investment by developing cash flow, by developing investments that also you can develop volunteerism around that investment, and then be able to travel based around that investment, be able to try to watch it grow firsthand, but also be able to contribute to add value to those investments by giving firsthand boots on the ground advice to different places and spaces in life that also would be able to benefit from your opinion, because you might be a seasoned professional from a certain place or side of the world that might be able to add value to other sides of the world that are maybe less than the first world, perhaps, and that therefore creates a spin of a type of activity that is also like volunteerism investing, that has to do with more so investing also in time, energy, and somewhat and sometimes money, because ultimately that money can develop a return on investment, and then also it can develop a return on community, it can develop a return on lifestyle, it can develop a methodology for teaching people how to fish in a certain respect, as opposed to just giving away fish. And so it's a combination of developing these types of businesses, which is also a game for change and a change for games. It's a type of methodology for investing. At the same time, it's a type of investing. It's a type of similar to like microloans in certain places. There's something called worldvision.org, which is a company that does microloans in different places in the world, more or less, and it's similar to that. That's a type of business in essence where you can get paid back a little bit more than you originally put down in essence, but also that corresponds to being able to go there and actually travel and visit and connect to the families and like visit with certain aspects of life in essence. This is also in essence kind of like a fake commercial. It's also like a fake audio TV commercial for Beast Philanthropy, Mr. Beast online. He's the most popular YouTuber on the planet on YouTube, both at the same time, and he has a significant following beyond that all around the world. So he has also something called Beast Philanthropy, which has to do with developing philanthropy all across the world. So in this episode, we're trying to develop and scale that Beast Philanthropy organization into also a travel agency and a travel company and a volunteerism travel company. So at the same time as doing Beast Philanthropy work, whereas it's going around filming different places in the world, and doing volunteerism in the same way that Beast Philanthropy does that, except he's using his own money at the same time to be able to fund those events and those activities ultimately, and he gets a return on his investment through his own videos, in essence, and through his media brand, and through his companies, and pipelining all that marketing back into his own assets, and his own company as a marketing asset. In essence, ultimately, people are able to do the same thing for their own personal brands, but also in terms of actually investing, and then also being able to travel into different innovative companies that are innovating into different aspects of the world, but developing travel around investing, to travel around voluntourism. So it's voluntourism, traveling, and investing at the same time. Voluntourism, traveling, and investing at the same time. So ultimately, this develops a trend, this develops a flow and a trend around the whole world. So ultimately, voluntourism catches fire like a significant travel trend. And people, especially women, we're kind of trying to target women in this episode ultimately, because women have an interest to do the things that are opposite to getting dirty. Women tend to have an opposite mindset to doing things that have to do with getting dirty. They try to keep their hands clean and want to do things that are prim and proper, and also relate to clean activities and clean places and clean spaces. Whereas, on the other hand, on the flip side, if they go camping, if you go into the outdoors and you go camping into nature, in essence, you have the ability to be able to connect to nature, connect to birds, connect to trees, connect to lifelines that have to do with the roots of nature and all of humanity connecting in one place, which is the roots and the bloodlines and the lifelines of all of the planet Earth that has to do with a large, giant, consecutive and significant connections underneath the Earth, underneath planet Earth. And all of those can be felt more significantly when you're sleeping on the Earth, when you're doing things that are gritty, when you're touching the soil, when you're touching plants, when you're touching things outside. And a lot of those things have been lost within the spectrum of society, because those activities are completely lost when one is distracted, especially women who like to stay especially clean in certain ways, and those things are ways that also somewhat separate a person from nature, in essence, which is a connection to the root of nature, which is a connection to the root of the self, and develops self-expansion and self-exploration at the same time. And so developing a way to try to get women into a closely more related element, to be able to connect with the earth and connect with this element and this aspect of voluntourism, to be able to then also develop a connection to investing at the same time, and a connection to beast philanthropy, so that beast philanthropy has this travel agency in a fake sense, so that in essence investing is sort of attached to that as like an addendum, so that it's not only in addition to a personal brand necessarily, but also in addition to a portfolio, and investing at the same time. So it's entrepreneurship and it's investing at the same time, and at the same time ultimately you're getting into the nature of the world and doing camping and tourism and doing outdoor activities and outdoor nature things. And so therefore Dinky Tech and Change for Game Studios can therefore a little bit better be able to connect to the women's side of the demographics of people in life, because typically women, especially in well-off places in the world, tend to not want to get dirty. They tend to not want to get dirty, whereas some people do. Some women like to play sports, and typically those might be the first ones to want to do that. But ultimately, a lot of women like to travel. And a lot of women like to give things and help out and do volunteering and things of this nature. So ultimately, if we combine that with the essence of camping and the essence of nature, in essence, we can develop the mindset readily that, in essence, the elements and the essence of the desire to want to get dirty on purpose, by an intention to be able to try to do it in a similar fashion to camping, but that combined with voluntourism, so that ultimately you're able to help spin and span that trend all across the world. So all women, which are fundamentally a part of the whole significant process, which is able to lead men and lead processes of family, to be able to take trips and do different things, so that they carry the family into different directions, so that voluntourism can try to flourish and span the world like fire, like wildfire. So voluntourism is able to span and trend the world like wildfire, in essence, and also be able to connect with Dinky Tech and Change for Game Studios without us having to fundamentally flip on our faces and do a completely clean spick and span type of brand, because that's not exactly what we're about. We're trying to make it the opposite, where everybody wants to be able to become children again, and every woman was a child at one time. And so ultimately, going back to those times when everybody's playing in the dirt again is ultimately what we're trying to call upon, because ultimately playing sports, and especially philanthropy giving sports, and especially voluntourism sports, and especially investing sports that have to do with camping and voluntourism as a byproduct of what you're actually investing in, so you can see it firsthand and experience it and touch it and smell it, and then it ultimately brings a closer attraction and a greater attraction and a greater interest to be able to invest more and be able to participate more in local societies, and to be able to also help build the earth a little bit more effectively and efficiently, because you're more effectively and efficiently tied to the roots of the nature of different pipelines of societies across all given world, which then connect you with your root networks and your root network pipelines of different people and different societies and different cultures and culturations that have to do with core internal nature that has to do with the whole external nature at the same time, so that the whole core of this vital connection of connectivity roots goes and spans from inside the human beings and inside of our veins to the external elements that go into the plants and into trees and all of these things that become a bit more connected. And the whole purpose is to make us more connected as a people, as a society, as humans, so that people aren't just trying to get their portfolios managed from a distance, but ultimately they're seeing firsthand their money go to work, in essence, not just through videos, although videos is an exceptional extension, just like Beast Philanthropy has done, to be able to start to put cameras into philanthropy and glorify philanthropy like Beast Philanthropy has done. But so Beast Philanthropy Travel Agency, in essence, the Beast Philanthropy Travel Agency, in essence, can stand for, in essence, in this episode, like something of a travel agency that also has to do with volunteerism, in essence, so everybody in the world can just start to try to develop a wildfire element of a trend sense for volunteerism business making, just like doing microloans around the world. It's as simple as making microloans around the world, so that ultimately the people that you go give loans to, you can go visit them firsthand. Maybe they'll let you sleep at their house. Maybe they'll let you sleep on their doorstep. Maybe they'll let you sleep anywhere, and you just kind of get to have that experience of sleeping with them somewhere, some way, in some weird, strange format, so that you just sleep in weird ways, so that you get the experience of the outdoors and you connect more so to nature, and it's more rewarding than you ever thought that might be conceivably possibly possible, because ultimately the connections that you're making to the spirit, to the mind, to the universe, to all of the elements that connect to differing societies in all of the world, if that trend can span and spawn so that all the first world, second world, any world countries can also participate in all of these, so that we are constantly rotating lifestyles, rotating mentalities, rotating paradigms all across the world, all across the planet, through differing aspects and elements of investing, combining volunteerism with investing. So ultimately we're combining our entrepreneurship side, we're documenting this, so we're adding to the marketing value side of our entrepreneurship side, and then combining that with our investing side, so we can put dollars and cents behind different places in the world which we feel like supporting, because there's different aspects, different innovation happening. And it's not just necessarily revolving around computers, which is its own world, building upon itself in the artificial intelligence sense and the computer server building development sense, to be able to try to add progression and progress to the world going forward. But also people and their attentions need to be entertained while all this computer work is happening in the background and everything, so that people's attentions are entertained and engaged in the most productive processes humanly, conceptually possible, where they get to travel for kind of somewhat-ish a living, because ultimately you can connect investing with traveling and volunteerism, so you can firsthand see where investments go, and also you can contribute as an entrepreneur to your own personal brand by adding value by volunteering and doing volunteerism work at the same time, just like the movie Life is Beautiful. The movie Life is Beautiful is what we're trying to a little bit talk about for women, how women see being dirty. Women don't see being dirty as fun, whereas in the movie Life is Beautiful, they made an ugly situation, a derogatory situation, fun, in essence. He made the situation fun for his kids. If you've never seen the movie, you have to look it up or Google it. But ultimately, it has to do with making a derogatory, very ugly situation into a game that has to do with a fun, enticing encounter. Not enticing, but fun encounter, more or less, by having the nature of the process be sort of flipped over, more or less, to be able to have an essence of needing to jump through some kind of obstacles or game plan to be able to make, in essence, an entertainment element occur from that source of attention and focus. And so beyond that, what it has to do with is having women see things in a different fashion and a different light, because they're sort of drawn to giving to people, having volunteering be part of their heart, in essence, in a more organic fashion, perhaps, than men. And so for that reason, their incentivization and inspiration to not just invest, but also invest their time and energy, in essence, and their presence into different places in the world, to be able to travel into places where they want to sleep in the dirt. They want to sleep in different places in the dirt, to be able to try to do it, to be able to connect with different families and places and spaces all over the world, so that this trend can continue to trend, so that more people are doing this with other women and other families and other women and other people of this nature. So the whole glory, there's glorification in dirt. There's glorification once again in dirt, in the foundation of the earth, at the same time as getting dirty, at the same time as being dirty, at the same time as eating while sitting on the ground, at the same time with just very minimal it's all related, all relatable in essence to getting dirty, which also has to do with playing sports, which also has to do with volunteerism work, which also has to do with getting sweaty, getting gritty, having long days, having fun days, because you're connecting with families, you're connecting with people, you're connecting to different aspects of different cultures, and different cultures that are in different unfamiliar parts of the world all have fun games that they play with each other to be able to entertain with each other and to be able to learn new games from new unique cultures is also a fun thing to do, because those games can also ricochet and relay and rotate all across the world onto back and forth and back, and the lifestyles can switch and swap and switch and swap, so the different games can be exchanged from different aspects and different cultures of life and times, and ultimately all the TV channels from all the countries in the world are able to link together in a metaphorical and metaphysical sense, so that ultimately, because right now there's all these licensing agreements, so people can't really see TV channels from other different places of the world, although it's getting a little bit easier and better with the internet in essence, but we have this ability to be able to cross-hatch each other's lives, every 8 billion person's human's life, to be able to benefit every other 8 billion person human on the planet by developing this voluntourism and investing at the same time process through the guise and the fake company that is the Beast Philanthropy travel agency, in essence, that also is combining investing in this instance, which is a little bit of a perk and a plus that is maybe, just a plus one for the Beast Philanthropy travel agency mode within this podcast that we're trying to identify, to be able to make women want to be happy to lay in the dirt and run around and do crazy things all throughout the day, to be able to try to build up societies and also invest money and time and effort and energy, so everybody's doing volunteerism and basically playing games. This is a game. We're playing games, doing volunteerism work, because we're having fun with local cultures, and the purpose is to play games while you're building a house, while you're building an orphanage, while you're building water shoots from the ground to be able to come up in new ways, and also developing with architects, bringing architects into different parts of the world to do basically tourism, where they travel around the world like a tour, like a musician, like a music band, basically. So it's not just like tourism, like where you go one place one time necessarily. It's like a music band. It's like business music. It's like a business music band where you can do tours around the world. If you're an architect, you can do tours all around the world, and you can bring your expertise all around the world in essence. And there can be applications that are able to facilitate this demand, just like Uber in essence, just like Uber, where Uber has hot zones and they have red zones of demand in essence, to be able to pick people up when that demand is necessary. And those things can also apply not just to music people and not just bands, but this is business music. So all professions in the world can tour the whole world. They don't have to just do one tourism, like people go one place for 1 week one time out of the year to do tourism in one place, and they go vacation for 1 week necessarily. But some architect, for example, can do a tour, like a music tour in essence, and go be able to travel around to different places in the world where that conceptual demand could be necessary to be able to develop strong structures and develop more rigid structures and develop more functional abodes and homes in different places in the world, and also teach the structure, teach the development process, and teach little hacks to be able to develop architecture and develop strong structural engineering and such things, and develop little hacks, little pipelines to little hacks that little places in the world are able to expand upon and be able to capitalize on those things, because those facts are unique, and a lot of this information has not ever been explored or expanded upon by a lot of different places in the world. There's still a whole lot of people in the world that are deprived of a lot of different basic resources. So if we had this voluntourism expansion of investing and voluntourism at the same time, then everybody in the world, such as like microloans, for example, in the most basic sense in the whole world, and then you go and visit the places where the microloans are done, and you actually go and try to assist them in their business. So you're not only just giving money, but you're also giving yourself as an asset to that business to be able to add value to the business firsthand by adding your skills and your time and your energy and your efforts and your personality and your person to person energy. But at the same time, you're giving money, which is then therefore it's like a microloan. So you're adding value in both both ultimately directions. And you can do this in like a tour, like a music tour, like a business music tour. There's a business music tour all around the world, and you can tour as opposed to just singularly like a single one-time thing, and just trying to change it around that way. And so this is also a little bit, so like if we have nice products in the future, like if we're trying to manufacture different products in the future, like if we're trying to go to China and move to Asia in the next like week, month or something like that, and we start to develop high-end products, the people, like especially women, are able to possibly respect our dirty brand, because we're kind of a bit of a dirty brand, because we like to play sports, we like to be like do things where we're like outside and we're trying to like play in the dirt and things like that, and that's a little bit part of the brand sensation and aspect in the world. So if we made like a sports car, for example, if we develop like a sports car, for example, that we want this grit to be able to, and this dirt and this sports element, not just a sports car, not just a nice clean sports car, but a voluntourism sports car that's like trying to drive around the world in a commercial sense, in a nice fake, nice car fake commercial sense, to be able to drive around the world and do voluntourism, dirty, gritty stuff. So you get out of your nice clean sports car and you jump into the dirt directly. That's the type of vibe, that's the type of mindset that Dinky Tech and Change for Game Studios is all about. That's what also the Dinky Tech and the Nature of Love is all about. So that's all for now, I suppose you could say. We'll try to keep you posted on progress to go to Asia next month, to be able to try to learn and get a couple mentors to be able to develop products, and at the same time develop art, jump into the art market, possibly get a job locally to be able to try to stay in that region long term, develop vlogging on a more consistent basis, on a more consecutive basis, and also to try to find a mentor in the industry to be able to distribute sound. That's all. Bye. Thanks, Dinky Tech. Bye. Peace. Bye. Dinky Tech, Change for Games Studios. Bye. Peace. Bye.